So there's been a lot of boxing going on in the last week. We watched Teofimo Lopez lose to George Kambosos. We saw Devin Haney fight a close fight to Jojo Diaz. We just watched Tank Davis last night go 12 rounds with Issac Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's our takeaway from three young stars in this division, the lightweight division?
That they are three young stars, but not superstars. Not yet.
Okay.
Hey, I shouldn't even say that about. Well, no, that applies to Tank also. He hasn't really beaten anyone up to this point in his career. All three guys. No, congrats to Tank and Haney on getting the wins.
Yes.
Teofimo, he looked distracted coming into that fight. And he was struggling to make the weight. And I think he took Kambosos a little bit lightly. And also, I think Kambosos was the best of the three opponents that we're talking about here. And it was a close fight. It's not like he went out there and got washed or anything, but he lost.
It's a split decision. Yeah.
Yeah. But even judging aside, it was a close fight. But with Devin Haney, he looked okay. He got the win. Same with Tank. He looked all right. Well, he didn't look special. Now Tank did injure his hand halfway through the fight, but I think the main takeaway is, like I said, these guys aren't, they're not your Bud Crawfords and Canelos yet. I think they'll get there, but not yet. And they're all very young, except for Tank.
Yes, I'll say this. I think Mayweather is doing a great job managing Tank's career up to this point, because they have been trying to get Tank to take on fights against Lomachenko and other fighters before he was ready, in my opinion. I think now he will wash Lomachenko.
Oh, he would murder Lomachenko.
But they're not rushing him to go and take on all the top guys now, as they shouldn't, because they're all, like you said, they're all super young. They have time to grow and develop as fighters. And even in this last fight, I saw some adjustments that Tank has made to his game a little bit. Like he's doing a little bit more defense out there. Before, he just walked straight forward and take a hit and to deliver the hit. Now, he's protecting himself a little bit more. He's showing a little bit more quickness.
He did look like a much better boxer in this fight than he's shown in the past.
Yes.
And Cruz was a live opponent. He's not a bum or anything like that. Like he was pressuring Tank all night long. And he was landing power shots throughout the fight. You cannot hurt Gervonta Davis. you can't. But he did make him miss quite a bit. Cruz landed, I believe, about 25% of his power punches, somewhere in there, somewhere in the 20s. And he was swinging and missing wildly a lot because Tank was moving around him. He's much, much faster than Cruz, and it was on full display. But yeah, he did a much better job just as a boxer than you've seen from Tank in the past. So that was encouraging. Devin Haney, he's a very, very skilled boxer. I think he is the opposite problem. You can hurt him, and people quite frequently do. And apparently he just has this thing in his head where he's desperate to show people that he's got power, but he doesn't have power. So don't worry about it. Just go out there and do what you do, and outbox people,
Yeah, protect yourself. Don't go out there and try to show that, you're something that you're not. You're an excellent boxer. Build on that. And the power might come later. Who knows, right? You're still growing, maybe that comes later, but just honing on your craft and what you're good at. Because otherwise you can get yourself in trouble finding somebody like Tank.
Yeah,
right?
Like he fought Jorge Linares and then like I said, Jojo Diaz this past week. Not elite fighters, not top tier fighters, but very good fighters.
Yeah,
very good fighters. Linares in particular was like a three weight class champion. Like he's a very, very good fighter. And Devin Haney found himself in deep trouble against Linares. He got hurt, and he had to survive. Late in that fight, he didn't quite get hurt that bad against Jojo Diaz, but you could see him get stunned a few times, and it's just like, man, you don't have to do that. Go out there, like you said, be the better boxer, put on boxing clinics and put these guys away, via the scorecards.
Yeah. Now, one person we haven't mentioned that's in this weight class, Ryan Garcia, and
King Ryan. King Ryan.
listen, man, like he does a good job promoting himself. When was the last time Ryan Garcia fought, man?
I don't know. It's been a little while, but he got listen. People dump on Ryan Garcia a lot. People say
Yep.
he's the worst of these young fighters,
Mhm.
which isn't even really an insult. I mean,
No.
this is kind of a golden age of fighters right here at lightweight, right?
Yep.
In and around lightweight. But in his last fight, props to Garcia. He got knocked down, and he got back up and won that fight.
Yeah.
That's a thing that not everybody can do. But he went
No.
out there and showed he had that heart.
Yeah. All these guys hit harder than that dude. Was that Billy Joe Saunders? Is that who he fought?
No. That
Not
was
Billy Joe.
Canelo.
No. What was the guy's name?
I don't know. Billy Joe Saunders is who Canelo fought. Box.
Luke Campbell. Luke Campbell.
Okay, well, I'll tell you in a second. It appears to have been Luke Campbell back in January. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's been since January, coming up on a year. So I don't even see a next fight scheduled here for him. Okay, so I guess Mayweather saying he wants to make a fight with Ryan Garcia.
Of course, that's the easy money. But that actually makes the most sense, right?
It does,
because Tank and
It
Ryan
does.
Garcia have kind of gone back and forth. They kind of built up that tension a little bit, the hype a little bit. So yeah,
I
keep
wasn't
that
even
pushing.
going that way with it. I was going with the so you've got Shakur Stevenson, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, Gervonta Davis, Virgil Ortiz, even
Yeah, I forgot
Lomachenko.
about Virgil Ortiz. Yeah.
Lomachenko's not young, but he's part of that lightweight group. George Kambosos, and people are kind of expecting these guys to really start mixing it up next year.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys are very, very young. Haney's 23. Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo are both 24. I think Garcia is 24 as well. Tank is 27. I mean, he's not old. He's older than the rest of these guys, but he's 27. Kambosos 28. Lomachenko's the only older guy out of that group. Virgil Ortiz also is, I believe, 24. So for me, I don't think that they're all going to start fighting each other next year. I think maybe you see one or two fights, but it doesn't make sense until these guys are a little further into their career, a little more developed. And that's why I think Ryan Garcia does make the most sense for Tank. I think what you should see next year is Kambosos against Lomachenko. Let Lomachenko try to get his belts back, in that fight. And listen, he's earned it. He went out there and he completely dominated Nakatani. That was an extremely impressive fight because Nakatani can fight. But let him fight Kambosos, try and get those belts back, and then set up something with Devin Haney later, and let Gervonta Davis fight Ryan Garcia, who nobody really believes in anyway, and he can go out there and knock him out spectacularly, or maybe Garcia wins. I mean, whatever happens there, but let him go out there and knock out Ryan Garcia because that's what will happen, and that just it builds up Tank and makes his next fight that much bigger, and maybe that's with Teofimo. Because Teofimo's moving up to 140. Maybe they make that for late next year or even 2023 or something like that.
Where does Virgil Ortiz fit in this equation?
Virgil Ortiz right now, he seems like he fits in that spot where he doesn't have the name, so everybody's going to ignore him for a while.
He's gonna fight the loser of Kambosos and Lomachenko.
Like I said, I mean, it doesn't seem like he's got the hype.
Maybe he's on Luke Campbell. Have. Yeah.
So I think he's just going to have to wait around a little bit and see what comes his way. Because right now, Kambosos in the lightweight division gets to call his shot. He won all those belts. He took them off Teofimo. So what he says goes right now. And Gervonta, he's got belts in 3 divisions right now. And he can kind of go wherever he wants to go. And why would you fight Virgil Ortiz right now? Because he doesn't have that big time name like some of these other guys. He is a very, very good fighter, but you don't really gain as much from fighting Virgil Ortiz as you would from fighting Ryan Garcia, I think.
That's the thing about boxing that's frustrating, but also I appreciate. Right? You have fighters that are at the top of their divisions, and you want to see the best of the best fight. This is what we see in UFC all the time, and I can respect that too. But these are guys that are trying to build their names, build their brand to make it a super fight, because that hype, that anticipation, that build up is what makes those fights special.
Yeah, it's such a huge part of it.
Yes.
And also, you want to see the best version of these guys fight, not
Yes.
3 years before their prime, or and things like that, which is kind of what you see in UFC a lot.
Because one thing I cannot stand is a fighter taking the fight way too early, and then sometimes they don't recover from them.
Mhm.
But when they do, and then it's just like, oh yeah, he's a top fighter. He lost this person early on, but he was new, or he was young. So then why'd you have him fight?
Yeah.
He wasn't ready. Boxing does a better job of protecting their young stars than UFC does.
Mhm.
So we'll probably see a couple of fights in 2022 between these guys. Most of them won't fight each other yet,
Yeah.
but the competition will get a little bit better. Kambosos winning actually is a good thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Adding another name into that mix.
yes, exactly. So I think next year is going to be an exciting year for boxing. I mean, that's just one weight class. We haven't even talked about these other weight classes,
Yeah.
but a possible Errol Spence and Bud Crawford fight coming up.
Mhm.
Um,
And then got to get back to Fury and well,
Wilder, or not
oh
Wilder,
no, no, I was going
Fury
to
and
say
then
Fury
Joshua.
and Joshua, but it's going to be Joshua and Usyk,
Yes,
and then see where we go from there.
yeah.
But yeah, no, things are looking up over the next couple of years in boxing.